Is this the nerdiest Irish instrument?
It definitely attracts the most nerds of all these instruments.
You ready?
Yeah. Is it like tangled or anything weird looking?
Oh yeah, it's hideous.
Okay.
You look awful.
Yeah.
You look fine. So you make a lot of pipe videos.
Yeah, I do a monthly video on my Instagram, Alina Uilleann. And Uilleann comes from the pipe name. This is the Uilleann pipes. It means elbow in Irish.
That's right.
And you need both elbows to play this instrument. You gotta attack it from all sides.
So have you ever recorded before?
Just once. Well, actually, twice. I don't know. That's a tricky question. I've recorded my own stuff, but on my phone, like kind of low tech.
What did you think of Slea Head?
It's a complex but also seemingly simple tune. I approached it like at first I was like, oh yeah, this will be no problem, and I listened to the track and it sounded just like, sort of a traditional slide to my ear. I was more used to like the sort of like duckada 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 sort of slide rhythm, but then I saw the sheet music and it was in 4 and I was like, but how? What's going on? And I couldn't figure out how my part fit into the rest of the music because it was a harmony line, and it turns out like, coming in to chat with you and figure it out together was, I realized just how many more confusions I had about the tune than I thought I had. But I love it too. It's like, it's got this sort of beautiful, different way of coming into the music, like, because I think you're thinking chords and you bring that into your tune writing. It makes so much sense when I listen to it, but then when I'm playing it, my fingers, the muscle movements are all sort of foreign. It wasn't the kind of melody that I would be able to write, so it was just really interesting playing it. Yeah, it's great.
How long have you been playing the pipes?
I started May 21st, 2020. I play every single day. That's been my goal, is to just practice every day and stick at it. It's a bit over 5 years now. They say it's 21 years to be a master piper. This is something that Seamus Ennis would say, a master piper himself. The idea is that you spend the first 7 years, I think, listening to the music, 7 years playing, and then the last 7 is working out the problems, the kinks, I guess. I don't know.
As a pipe player in the world, where do you play the pipes?
Lately, I've gotten some gigs playing with Blake Ritter, who's a fiddler that I travel around with up and down California mostly. I play in sessions. I like that kind of vibe, a big pub session where like everybody's welcome, everyone can come in and play a bunch of tunes, and it's just a great way to have a social life without being very social, because I have issues with that.
Is the session culture different in Ireland versus America?
I'd say there are definitely some differences. I've been to some Irish sessions, but I wouldn't say I'm an expert. I haven't been all over Ireland and all the different kinds of sessions that exist. Some of them are more gig-like, and there's just a guy in a pub with a mic, or maybe his buddies with him. And in those sessions, it's actually kind of interesting because it looks like a gig, but then a lot of the time they're very welcoming. They're just like, come on, you have a whistle, you come and join us for some tunes. And it's like, oh, okay, sure. And they're like, here's a mic for you. It's like, what? So that's happened before, but then there's some that are just like a normal kind of session you might find in a pub, if you have a pub in a local session in the States, where you just show up with an instrument and you take it out of the case. Most of the time people are pretty welcoming. Sometimes you might want to hesitate a little bit, just if it's a smaller group. Sometimes they have their particularities. They're different from one spot to the next. It just so much varies with the culture.
What inspired you to pick up the Uilleann pipes?
I always loved the sound of them since I was a little kid. I listened to a lot of Kate Bush, strangely, had a lot of Uilleann pipes on her albums. Like Liam O'Flynn recorded with her. I think her brother played the Uilleann pipes as well, if I'm not mistaken, and there's a picture of her online you can find where she's holding the Uilleann pipes, which was pretty cool. There's some gateway bands where I got it in my ear, I really loved the sound of the pipes. I kind of came to Irish music through song, and so the singers that had an Uilleann piper on their album were kind of the ones that it got me interested in it. And then when I was in like middle school, I went to some thrift store and I saw an album on the shelf that just had this guy sitting, looking up over his shoulder at a shooting star or a comet or something, and I don't even know, I think he had Uilleann pipes on, but there was just the cover art that really captured my imagination. I was like, this has gotta be good, like whatever it is. And I bought the CD, like no idea what the music would be. And it was just Davy Spillane playing Uilleann pipes, just heavenly music, just called The Atlantic Bridge, just a combination of all sorts of American and Irish influences, and it just had such a resonance with me that I was like, this is music, you know. But I didn't attempt to play the pipes for many, many years. I started with penny whistle, loved it, played the heck out of penny whistle for like a decade before I even touched the pipe. I was so scared of even trying to play the pipes, but it was a friend who kind of nudged me. She's like, you know, pipes are not that different from the whistle, and you could probably learn. I was like, okay, well maybe I'll do this. Short story long. Yeah, there you go.
So there's a lot of parts on this thing.
Yeah, it's quite an involved instrument. This is what you call the chanter. And it's and that could mean singer, you know, chanter. So it's the one that carries the melody, has the tune, and the bag, which is attached to it. This is inflated by the bellows under my right arm here. So it's just like you would have for stoking a fire and like the olden days.
That's what it goes behind you.
Yeah, yeah. And
Oh, I see. Okay.
It fastens all the way around on this belt, and then the bag and the rest of the instrument is kind of a separate unit. But the bellows is attached to me. And then, it's called the Uilleann pipes, which means elbow, as I've mentioned. Elbow! Both elbows are working at all times. So, pipes itself. I have, like, one octave, like, and then I have a second octave, so. So it's actually a much more versatile kind of bagpipe than a lot of them, and you'll find that in Scottish movies, you often have Uilleann pipes playing
instead of Scottish pipes.
Yeah, because the composers will write the music and they'll say, "This is great. We'll have the piper come in and play this," and then they hire their piper, and the piper shows up, says, "Sorry about that, but my instrument can't play half of that." And so then they ask, "Who can?" And it's always like the Uilleann pipes, because you can get a couple octaves, and then you also have, you know, drones, just like kind of Scottish pipes. But instead of sitting over the shoulder, they're sitting on the lap, and you can play the melody and some chords. So you have a lot of moving parts. I'm still getting a grasp of it, because I've only been playing for, you know, less than the 21 years that they say it takes to master the Uilleann pipes.
And do Uilleann pipes come in different keys?
Yeah, this one's pitched in D, so I'd say this is the most standard kind of key that you'll find for Uilleann pipes. It plays the most nicely with other instruments in Irish sessions. Lately, a lot of flat sets have been really popular.
What's a flat set?
So it's called a flat set, which is actually maybe a bit of a misnaming. I wouldn't say misnomer exactly, but it's flatter in pitch than D, which is the concert pitch for Irish pipes. What people like to call them instead a lot of time is narrow bore, because this is like sort of a wider bore, but then the flat sets tend to have a narrow bore, and that it sort of changes the tonality and the character of the instrument in a pretty dramatic way, which you can also attain to some degree on a D-pitch chanter, but they're less common to have narrow bore D-pitch chanters. So that's more nerdery than you necessarily want, but D is the most common. Other popular keys at the moment for pipes are, I think, B flat. B flat, it requires a bit more, you know, have to have good hand reach. Yeah, C sharp sometimes.
C sharp.
Preston Howard Wild plays C sharp set of pipes that I just love the sound of.
So you get a flat pipe, a D pipe, and then a C sharp.
Yeah, C sharp is. I feel like that was a special kind of sound. But I asked him about it. I said, I'm struggling to pick. If I were to get a flat set, what would I go with? And he's like, well, you don't pick a flat set to play with other people. So it's really whatever strikes your fancy, whatever
so it's
the
like
sound you
if you're an introvert, you can tell by the pipe.
Yeah, so the D pipes play nicely in D, obviously, but G is also a nice one, so Slea head was in G, and that worked nicely on the pipes. With D, you get a C sharp, so... And with G, you get... a C natural. Ooh. And the C natural on the pipes is kind of like, you can get this really nasty C.
Nasty.
Stanky sort of note. Yeah, there was this one piper, Brother Gildas O'Shea, very religious man, you know, and so he felt like the C note was the holiest of all of the notes. So when he would play the C natural in the middle of tune, he would then stop and cross himself. because it was this.
It's like
holy
the
note,
devil's interval or something.
Yeah, I heard that story from Preston.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, so it is quite an interesting instrument developed. I don't know the full history of it. I don't know if anyone really does, but it's kind of developed from pastoral pipes, a more ancient Irish pipe. Who knows exactly where it came from? There's definitely some debate. Some say that it came from Scotland, and everyone wants to fight over these things. I'm not going to step into that battle.
Do you want to play us out?
All right, what should I play? Is this any kind of tune?
Yeah, what do you like?
I'll play a pipe on the hob. How about that?
Nice.